Hello coders, I hope you are coding well. In the previous video, we wrote the code to process and store the selected options of the test in our Angular application. And in today's video, we will write the code to call the submit test API. So let's get started. So in our Angular application, first of all, we need to create a method in the service. And to do this, we will open test.service.ts, and in this file we will copy this get all test method and we will paste it here. And after this, we need to update the method name and we will replace this get all test with submit test. And then we need to accept the request data in this method and we will name this as data and the type of this will be any. And after this, we need to update the HTTP method type and we will replace this get with post. And then we need to update the URL of the API, and after API slash test we will write slash submit test, and at the end we need to pass the data in the request body. And to do this, we will write data here. And with this, our submit test method is completed in the test service. Now let's save this file, and then we need to call this method from the component. And to do this, we will open taketest.component.ts, and in this component we will create a new method and we will name this as submit answers. And in the body of this method we need to build the request data, and then we will call the submit test method. And first of all, we need to format the answers, and first of all we need to format the selected answers to send to the request body. And to do this, we will create a constant and we will name this as answer list. And after this, we will use object and we will call a method keys. And in this, we need to pass the object, so we will write this dot selected answers, and then we will call map method, and this will give us the ID of the question, and we will name this as question ID, and then we will write an arrow function. And in this function we need to create an object that will contain the question ID and the selected option. And to do this, we will write return statement, and in this object first of all we need to give the question ID, and we can get this as this question ID, but before that we need to convert it to the number. And to do this, we will use plus sign and then we will write question ID. And after the question ID, we need to send the selected option, and we can get this option from the selected answers. And to do this, we will write this dot selected answers, and then we need to pass the key and we will give this as question ID. And with this, our code for the answer list is completed. Now we need to create another object to pass the test ID, user ID and the responses. And to do this, we will create a constant and we will name this as data. And in this object, first of all, we need to give the test ID, and we can get this by calling this dot test ID. And after the test ID, we need to give the user ID, and we can get this from our storage service. So we will write user storage service and we will call a method get user ID. And after the user ID, we need to pass the responses. And to do this, we will pass answer list here. And with this, our request data is completed. Now we will use our test service and we will call a method submit test, and in this method we will pass the data, and then we will subscribe the response and we will name this as res, and we will write an arrow function. And after this, to handle the errors, we will write error function as well. And in this function we will use ng-message service and we will show the error message as error.error. And after this, we will go to the success case, and here we will again use ng-message service and we will show the message as test submitted successfully. And after this, we need to redirect the user to the view results page, and to do this we will use router, and then we will call a method navigate by URL, and in this we will give the URL as user/view test results. And with this, our TS code is completed to call the submit test API. Now let's save this file, and after this we need to call this submit answers API from our HTML file. And to do this, we will open taketest.component.html, and in this file we will use the form tag and we will use ng submit event of this form. and on this event we will call submit answers method. And with this our HTML code is completed as well. Now let's save this file and let's run our application. And as you can see our application is up without any errors. Now let's go to the browser and let's validate the functionality of submit test API. And in the browser we will click on this login button, and in this form we need to enter the details of user, and after adding email and password we will click on this login button. And as you can see we got redirected to the user dashboard. Now let's click on the start test button of the first test, and on this page we will hit F12 to open the network tab, and after this we will answer both of these questions, and then we will click on this submit answers button. And as you can see we got the message test submitted successfully, and in the network tab we can see the payload of the test, and in the request body we are sending the user ID as 3, and after this the test ID is 1, and then we have an array of responses, and in this array we got two responses, and in both of these objects we are sending question ID and selected option for each. And now let's go to the MySQL workbench to verify this entry. And in the MySQL workbench we will open quiz server DB, and then we will open the tables, and then we will open the data of test result table. And as you can see we got second entry in this table where we have the correct answers 1, and after this the total questions were 2, and test ID is 1 and the user ID is 3. And that's it for today's video. In the next video we will write the code to show the remaining time on this page.